Welcome back to CNN State of the Union. I'm Jake Tapper in Los Angeles. The primary here in California has been hotly anticipated for months, but few could have predicted that Donald Trump would be running unopposed while the Democrats continue to battle until the last votes are counted. Polls show the contest here between Hillary Clinton and Bernie Sanders is neck and neck, and Sanders thinks a win here means the race is far from over. Senator, thanks so much for doing this. Appreciate it.
My pleasure.
So we're here in the beautiful golden state of California. They vote, people here vote on Tuesday. What are you expecting is going to happen?
Well, I think that if there is a large voter turnout, if working people and young people are prepared to come out to make it clear that it's too late for establishment politics and establishment economics, we're going to win. If the turnout is very, very large, I think we have a chance to win big.
In all likelihood, even if you do win in California, which is certainly possible according to the latest polling, Secretary Clinton on Tuesday night will declare victory in the nomination race. She'll say that she has enough delegates and will be the nominee.
Well, I think that's kind of not quite accurate, and I think the Democratic National Committee has made that clear, that what she would be doing is combining pledged delegates. Those are the real delegates that people vote for, with super delegates, people who are appointed by the committee. And what the DNC has made it very clear is that the media should not lump those two together, because pledged delegates are pledged to the candidates. Super delegates may change their mind.
Will your strategy be different if, after all the contests are over, she has more pledged delegates than you do? Or are you taking this to the convention no matter what?
Look, again, I don't want to speculate about who will end up having more pledged delegates. She is ahead of us right now, no question. But California's coming up. They got 475 pledged delegates here. You don't know what the world is going to be like 4 weeks from now, 5 weeks ago. Let's not forget, Democratic convention is the end of July. That's a long time from today.
What's an important area for California voters to know that you do have some disagreements? Would climate change be an area where there's
It sure would be. I mean, and Secretary Clinton is right, and let's be very clear on this. Trump would be a disaster, and she and I agree on that. In terms of climate change, which here in California, by the way, is an issue of huge consequence. Unlike Donald Trump, the people of California know that climate change is very real, that there is a drought here. And second of all, I worry very much about the future water supply, clean water supply in this country and around the world. I think we have to ban fracking now. Secretary Clinton does not agree with that. She thinks we can, quote unquote, regulate it. You can't regulate fracking effectively. And also, as Secretary of State, she pushed fracking in other countries around the world. Those are pretty fundamental disagreements.
I want to ask you about some of the violence we've seen by anti-Trump protesters against supporters of Trump. Some of these people who have been very violent have been seen with your signs, Bernie Sanders signs, chanting your name. Do you condemn the violence?
I condemn it absolutely. And let's be very clear. I mean, we got millions and millions of people who are supporting us. And I want to make it clear that any person who is a Bernie Sanders supporter, please do not in any way, shape, or form engage in violence. That is absolutely not what this campaign is about.
There was an interesting back and forth between Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump that I really actually wondered what you thought about it. She said that it's not hard to imagine Donald Trump getting the U.S. into a war because someone got under his, quote, very thin skin. I asked him about that. He said, hey, she's the one that voted to go to war in Iraq, not me. You've been critical of her for that vote as well. I was wondering where you came down on this.
Well, I think, frankly, they both make a point. War and peace issues are obviously of enormous consequence. And this is a guy who, he's attacking this one and he's attacking, ugly words about people. No, he does not have the temperament. Is it possible that something will get him angry and he may want to get us involved in a war? Yeah, I think that is a possibility. On the other hand, let us also be clear. Secretary Clinton's temperament is not Donald Trump's, that's for sure. But she and I, back in 2008, I was in the House, she was in the Senate, we all heard the evidence. The so-called evidence coming from Bush and Cheney about the need to go to war in Iraq. I studied that, I really did. I not only voted against the war in Iraq, I led the opposition to that war. She studied the same information, she supported that war.
Do you think she's too quick on the draw, too eager to use military force?
I worry about that, yeah, I do. I mean, I think that her support for the war in Iraq was not just an aberration. I think that her willingness to kind of push President Obama to overthrow Gaddafi and lead to the kind of instability that we're seeing now in Libya, not inconsistent with her other views on Syria, where she wants a no-fly zone, which I think can suck us into never-ending conflict in that area.
Gaddafi's forces were about to, it looked like, commit mass murder against the rebels and citizens, and the move by Clinton, Obama, etc., and the French and the British was to stop that. Are you arguing that President Sanders would not have intervened?
In that particular instance, probably not. There are other ways to deal with crises. Look, you can always make the case. You can make the case about Saddam Hussein. Saddam Hussein was a murdering thug. You can make the case about Assad in Syria. My God, what he has done to his own people. Or about Gaddafi. These are terrible, brutal dictators. But our job is to think what happens the day after these people are removed, the kind of instability that occurs.
The argument basically is that the world would be better off with Saddam Hussein and Gaddafi still in power than what happened.
The world would be better off with these dictators out of power, but there are ways to get them out of power without causing mass instability and the deaths of many hundreds of thousands of people.
What ways? Because obviously it's not that easy.
No, it's not that easy, but you bring the entire world together. If your thought is, Jake, or if Secretary Clinton's thought is, I don't know what it is, that every dictator in the world that's out there, we got to rush in and overthrow them, we disagree very, very much. Certainly the war in Iraq, Bush's era, Clinton's era, has caused us incalculable harm.
You have not been critical of the Clinton Foundation, but there are those who say that there's something inherently wrong with an American charity, especially one with ties to a Secretary of State, taking money from the Saudis and other foreign governments that don't represent our values. Is that a fair criticism?
Yes, it is. It is. If you ask me about the Clinton Foundation, do I have a problem when a sitting Secretary of State and a foundation run by her husband collects many millions of dollars from foreign governments, governments which are dictatorships? You don't have a lot of civil liberties or democratic rights in Saudi Arabia. You don't have a lot of respect there for opposition points of view, for gay rights, for women's rights. Yeah, do I have a problem with that? Yeah, I do.
You think it creates an appearance of conflict of interest?
Yeah, I do.
Let's turn to some issues that no matter what, you're going to have a seat at the table when it comes to the platform of the Democratic Party, whether you're the nominee or whether you're not the nominee. And it seems like last time you and I discussed how you thought that superdelegates might be something the party considers getting rid of.
Here is my problem. My problem is that the process today has allowed Secretary Clinton to get the support of over 400 superdelegates before any other Democratic candidate was in the race. It's like an anointment.
Before anyone voted even.
8 months. 8 months before the first vote was cast in Iowa. Frankly, I think that's an absurd process. To the degree that superdelegates make any sense, and I don't know that they do, theoretically, their job is to say, take the broad view, look at what's going on, who is the strongest candidate, not to be part of an anointment process before any other candidate comes on board. That's just the moneyed interest and the establishment talking. So I think at the Democratic National Convention, there is going to be a lot of discussion about reforming that issue and that process.
We did a profile this week, Jeff Zeleny, for my show, of Bernie or bust, the Bernie or bust movement. These are people who say, if you're not the nominee, that's it. They're out of the process. What is your message to those people? Obviously, you want their support, or you want to be the nominee.
Right.
But is Bernie or bust a palatable position?
Well, I think to answer your question, the idea that I can snap my fingers and have millions of supporters kind of march in line, that is not what our effort is about. I think if I am not the nominee, and we're going to fight to become the nominee, it is Secretary Clinton's job to explain to those people why she should get their support. And that means she's going to have to address their needs. Secretary Clinton is going to have to make the convincing argument to them that how could it be that she's getting huge amounts of money from Wall Street and other powerful special interests, and she is going to stand up and fight for them.
But no matter what, are you going to work hard to make sure that Donald Trump loses and the Democratic candidate, whether it's you or her,
Yes.
wins?
Yes.
Senator Sanders, thanks so much, and good luck to you here in California on Tuesday.
Thank you very much.
Coming up,